Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we are reading sequels again because I am in the middle of some series and I seem to never get out of being in the middle of series and I need to finish them. So let's just read some, maybe tick off some series from my little list of series I'm in the middle of. And yeah, welcome to the journey. The first book I will be reading for this video is King of Bride. I think, yes, I'm 99.9% sure that's the book. It is by Huang and it is the second book in the King of Things series, which is a series of interconnected standalone romance novels that apparently, at least the first one, it verges more on that dark gray schemes of romance novel. It isn't necessarily a dark romance, but it is also not a fluffy rom-com. I read the first book of the series for my psychic chose what I read for the week video, and now I'm in a new series. And in terms of what the second book in the series, what King of Pride it is about, I have no idea. I know it follows Kai. His family owns some kind of traditional media company, and I don't know what will happen. I know that's his background, and I know that the female main character is called Isabella, and she's the bartender at this exclusive club he's part of. And apparently one of the rules from the club is that the members of the club and the employees can fraternize, so apparently this will be a forbidden romance of sorts, and that's all I know about this book. So let's read it and then I'll tell you what it is about when I figure out what this book is about. Hello, so I'm around 54% of King of Pride, so I guess I already have like an idea of what this book is about, so I can tell you a brief synopsis. So King of Pride follows Kai. He's this prideful man, and it was recently announced that in his family's company there will be a new CEO and the board will be voting at who will be the next CEO, and he is running to get that position. So from the moment where the book begins, he has 4 months to keep in line and just be the perfect little boy and just give really good results for the company so he can get the job. And then we have Isabella. She's the bartender at the exclusive club, and she's writing a book, and she has a very strict deadline of when she needs to deliver this book. She also has some family things, some family drama going on in the background. And basically Kai and Isabella, they are very different people. They are very much opposites attract, in the sense that Kai is that very responsible, very in line, very type A kind of person, while Isabella, she's a very loud person. She says some things that are not the most appropriate around people, and she's very loud. Think of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, think of Jake and Amy. It's basically Kai, it's Amy, and Isabella, it's Jake. And that concept in itself, it can be good, but in this book, the thing is, there's this subplot in the book where basically there is this very strict policy in this extremely exclusive club where Kai is a member of and Isabella works at, where the club basically prohibits the fraternization between the members of the club and the employees of the club. So at the beginning of the book, even though they really are attracted to each other, they try to keep a distance so he can stay in this club and she can continue having her job. The thing is, when things start to get heated between them, it didn't really feel like they are trying to keep a distance from themselves. It didn't feel like they would stop and think, oh, if we are caught kissing in public, he will lose his membership and Isabella will lose her job and she will be blacklisted from some of the best establishments where she would be able to get a job because she was fraternizing with Kai. And there wasn't enough push, so it feels kind of difficult to truly 100% feel and believe how dangerous it would be if they got caught, because there wasn't enough, like, let's try to not fraternize. And at this moment there were more than once they were kind of caught in a situation where you could assume they were fraternizing. So that is another point. If it was really that wow, it's really dangerous. It would be really bad if they got them together. It is difficult to 100% feel and truly understand how dangerous that would be, considering they feel comfortable getting naughty in public and risking getting caught by someone from that club. One of the things that I found frustrating about this book is that it had so much potential of being a scorching slow burn where they really connect on an emotional level first, and then they decide to cross the line and go for the physical level of a connection. But in reality, I think they burned so fast. I think out of all the Anna Huang's books that I read, this was the one where they burned the fastest. I think it was around 20% one of the case for the first time, which, again, they have this big thing where they can't fraternize. So why they are doing that? It's kind of confusing. Another thing that I found frustrating is that I love the side characters. This is something I think Anna Huang does wonderfully, which is make really intriguing side characters that add something to the story, that they are their own person, they have their own personalities, and they can stand as their own characters, and they are intriguing enough where you want to read their future story, and you, or at least wonder if they have their own book or will have their own book. But the thing is, my favorite moments in this book were basically from the side characters, were Dante and Vivian basically kind of trying to annoy or poke fun at Kai and try to make him jealous, or basically cackling because Kai was clearly jealous when he was saying, "Oh, I'm not jealous," or just was acting in denial. Or seeing Sloane writing her reviews from rom-coms, which, by the way, I really want to read Sloane's book because out of all the characters, I've been really identifying myself with Sloane in the sense that I like reading romance novels, even though I'm a cynic and I could write essays and essays on how unrealistic they are. And I guess that's one of the examples of Anna Huang writing side characters that are intriguing. Another one of my favorite moments was Kai talking about a competitor's car getting blown up and nobody really knows who blew up the car. But if you read Twisted Lies, you know it was Christian. So there are also these inside jokes between Anna Huang and people that read her other books. And that is really nice. But the problem is, while this is great in a book, I don't feel like Kai and Isabella, they are so strong as a characters that they are holding up their storyline by themselves. They are the main characters of the story, so the side characters, the inside jokes, shouldn't be outshining them. So I'm curious about what will happen next in the novel, because also so far it felt so much like more of a physical connection first, and then there is a little bit of an emotional connection. I'm curious about what will happen next, because it's an okay book, but it had so much potential to being a scorching slow burn that it is frustrating that it was so fast. But I feel like there is some drama brewing in the background, so let's just see where this book goes. So I finished reading King of Pride, and I can say it didn't get that much better in the second half of the book. I felt like the third act conflict came out of nowhere, and it was just okay. It was fun to read, but and then I ended up giving this book 3 stars because it was just frustrating, actually, because I felt King of Pride had so much potential to be this great book, and it just didn't deliver. But it's okay, it's fine. But then right after, I decided to start reading King of Greed, which is the third book in the King of Sin series. And King of Greed is one of the books in the series where I was most curious about, at least recently, because the female main character, she's actually Brazilian, and I'm Brazilian, so I was curious about how that topic would be approached in this book, how a Brazilian woman would be portrayed by a United States and American author. Also, the fact that it is second chance, it's not actually second chance, but it is more marriage in peril, like they're having marital problems trope. It also sounded interesting, just this book sounded really interesting to me, and I was curious about how the Brazilian side or the Brazilian topic would be approached. I was very worried about the stereotypes which could happen. One detail that I really enjoy about the Ana Huang books is that she has a playlist at the beginning of the book, and I went to check this one, and there was one Brazilian song which is a very popular song. I think it will make sense in the book, at least knowing the song and knowing the premise and the genre of King of Greed, it seems to make sense, but personally I would add some other songs. Just out of fancies, and Huang could have put on that playlist the honorary national anthem of Brazil, Evidências, by She Don't Sing Should at All, or maybe just out of fancies put one of those techy contemporary country songs that involves a Dodge Ram, or maybe just a funky saying throw your ass in there, something like this. Maybe just for funsies, but at least there was one Brazilian song there. Let's see how it works. Of course, I know she doesn't have all the space in the world to put all the songs, or maybe she doesn't want to do things for funsies, or also know the songs, right? Because I'm talking about Brazilian songs, and I don't expect her to know the songs. Actually, I think it's better for her to not know the songs, because some of them are just plain bad, in my opinion. But going back to the book, another thing I was concerned about having a Brazilian main character written by an American author, the stereotypes, how this character would be portrayed. And so far at the beginning of the book, there are some. First of all, Alessandra, who is the female main character, she's the daughter of a model, and her mother wanted her to be a model. And the beautiful Brazilian model is kind of a stereotype. Also, she has this beautiful tan skin, and she's so beautiful, which is another stereotype Americans tend to have about Brazilian women. As you can tell, all Brazilian women are tan and super beautiful. Look at me, look how tan I am. Doesn't it look like I spent all my days at the beach? But jokes aside, having this character with these physical characteristics isn't a deal breaker. It's like, okay, any character could have these physical characteristics. But as a Brazilian woman who has already been to the United States and have been confused as being from different nationalities, it's kind of conflicting. I want to see more how the Brazilian aspect it's worked at this novel. There was another stereotype that was sprinkled right at the beginning of the book that I saw, where the female main character is described as being very joyful, which is another stereotype about Brazilians. And I guess we are kind of joyful, but it's also like another stereotype. And yes, it's fine, this could be a characteristic for any character. It's okay for a character, no matter the personality, for them to be joyful. But as a person that is from the country, I can't help to be a little bit apprehensive to see how the character will be developed, because we already have two, or actually three, stereotypes in the first 5 chapters of the book. So I'm curious about how this character will be developed and if we will have any other stereotype that might take me out of the book. But so far, honestly, it's fun. I really like the beginning of the book so far, and I really want to continue reading. And I guess I'm going to stop rambling here because I really want to go back to the book, because I just stopped at the part where she asks for the divorce. So hello, next day, same position to film. So I'm over halfway through King of Greed, and at the moment where I am at the book, Tomic is doing some things that it's kind of stalkerish, and originally I feel like I should hate him, but I kind of find in myself to hate him. Not my favorite character, but still not exactly hate him. In real life, I would hate that. In the book, I like it, in part because Alessandra still hasn't really said stop. She is being kind of standoffish, but she didn't signal anything like, please stop, go away, bye. One thing to say about this book is that they are supposed to be getting divorced. They clearly still like each other. But around 25-30% into the book, there was this situation where something happens and things got spicy. And for them, since they were married, it makes sense. It isn't like a deal breaker, the fact that they got very spicy at around 25-30% into the book, even though they are still supposed to be going through a divorce, slash they are supposed to not like each other yet. But at that moment, I couldn't help but feel like Alessandra's kind of like a wet blanket, but also at the same time, she is imposing her needs. She's talking about what she wants and making Dominic hear finally what she really is feeling and what she really wants. But at times she's still kind of a wet blanket. I don't know how I really feel about this book. Also, again, around halfway through the book, we got the first twisted series, twisted couple random appearance, and it makes sense for these characters to show up exactly this moment in the novel. Still, even though I really like the inside jokes in the in the King of Sins series, it's kind of old and honestly a little bit annoying, the random appearances and pop-ups from the Twisted series characters at moments that it just feels so random. If it made sense for these characters to be there, it would be fun. It would be a nice Easter egg for people that read and enjoyed the Twisted series. But it's just at this moment it's just feeling random, and I'm not really catching on to the point of why these characters, why they need to keep showing up, and it's kind of distracting to the rest of the novel. I'm going to continue reading because it's one of those books where I'm kind of 50-50. I kind of like it, but I'm still a little bit apprehensive about where it will lead. But I just can't stop reading, it's just fun. Hello, different days, same positioning, same era where I'm filming this clip. So I finished reading King of Greed by Huang, and I think it's a little bit tall. Let me better. I think it is better. So I have mixed feelings about this book because I actually had fun reading this book. I thought the book was entertaining, which, you know, it means it did what it was supposed to be, which is entertain me. Also, I like that the characters, they seem to have enough backbone as characters to be able to hold their own story together. The side characters, they don't outshine the main character, which was a problem I had with King of Pride. We also had the side characters showing up. They aren't completely out of the story at all. It makes sense also the moments they show up, and some of them are quite funny, some of the moments where they show up. Now, for the things that I didn't necessarily enjoy about this book, even though the side characters, they did show up, I still felt like the story was kind of stale when with the side characters, kind of empty. And I guess it's because the characters, they are more like introspective, they are more working on their marriage, so there isn't that many outside characters interference kind of situation. But one thing that really kind of annoyed me is that characters, they feel like they are wet blankets, especially Alessandra. Like Dominic did the bare minimum. This book was advertised as marriage in peril, as groveling, and the groveling was that he took off from work for the first time in years. It was that he got her a mug, he bought her flowers, and I expected more groveling coming from him. Also, it's kind of difficult for you to say, oh, is in peril when one, they get divorced. Second, Dominic didn't know his marriage was in danger. He thought it was everything okay. And I guess this is another problem I had with the story, which is Mav is not mathing, because Dominic is supposed to be so in love with his wife. His like internal monologue, it's all the time, oh, I love my wife, I love my wife, I love my wife. But this man forgot to acknowledge his wife's existence for 3 years. How does that happen? Especially if you love your wife so much. Also, Alessandra, at any moment, and she admits about it in the book, she doesn't really talk to him. She doesn't sit down with him and talk about, hi, you forgot I existed for 3 years. If we don't fix it, I'm leaving. She doesn't do that. Basically, this whole book wouldn't have existed if at the first 5 chapters of this book she had this conversation with him. Also, it's kind of difficult to say this is a marriage in peril novel when they actually get divorced. And they get divorced relatively early on in the book, to the point where it's not necessarily a spoiler. Also, like, they get divorced, so it's just a second chance romance. There is also this little detail on the book which they say at the beginning of the story, actually say at a lot of different points during the book, that they have been married for 10 years. And then they say they got married when they were 23. But then later on, after the first, oh, we have been married for 10 years, we find out that they are supposed to be 31. So also, math doesn't math, because I'm not that great with maths. I studied journalism, babe, but even I can tell you that 23 plus 10, it's 33. So either this was a math problem, like this slipped during the editing process of the book to put that they actually 33, or to put that they actually got married when they were 21, or just one of them is older than the other and they didn't make this very clear during the narrative. Now let's touch briefly on that fact that Alessandra is Brazilian, I'm Brazilian, so I was a little bit apprehensive at the beginning of the book, and then by the end of the book I'm just like, okay, she's kind of a light stereotype, because yes, these characters can exist, you know, in general there is no problem with the beautiful tan woman that likes all those delicious Brazilian typical foods, that like listening and dancing to samba, and likes the beach and surfing, and you know, had her personality. But at the same time, I can't help but feel like this is it's a little bit too stereotypical from the point of view of an outsider. First of all, Dominic kept calling her amor, which basically translates to love, which fine. This is a very common, sweet nickname, but you also have other nicknames. Also, it got tiring how much he kept calling her amor and he kept doing the bare minimum. But then we had him calling her amor, and then we have one song on the playlist of the book which is called Amor, I Love You, which was basically Love, I Love You by Marisa Monte, which is a popular song. It's an okay song to put on your playlist, but like we have other songs we could put it on the playlist. Also, this is a very smutty book where it has that annoying factor, at least for me. I find it's not really my taste, where we have smut for the sake of smut and it doesn't really add that much to the story. So like we have a lot of songs that are 18 plus, so you can add that to the playlist. Another detail is that actually a good portion of this book takes place in Brazil, but I would have loved if part of that portion didn't take place on the beach and we were tanning and doing yoga and surfing all the time, and that's basically all she does. It would have been nice if we had more than that. I could really continue to nitpick these books because they're just these little things, little details that I think it could have been better. I think they might have slipped during the editing process because they end up creating some plot holes or some plot inconsistencies. So they could have been better. Maybe a little fun detail for those who are not from Brazil, which according to the statistics on my YouTube channel, a good chunk of you are not from Brazil, but one of our most popular genres is sertanejo, or basically Brazilian country, and like they at any moment mention that, but she's on the samba, she's on the bossa nova, which are genres that are very stereotypical from an outside the gringo perspective. Those are genres that are very they are very associated with the Brazilian culture, that and funky, but like they are popular. But sertanejo, like country, Brazilian country music, those are the songs that chart the most. Basically, long story short, these characters, they are bland as a fork. They are very bland. It's almost annoying. Their personalities, like Alessandra's personality, it's literally that she likes flowers and Brazilian food, which, same babes, I love Brazilian food. Coxinha is amazing, pastel is amazing, feijoada is amazing. That is no secret. But we need more than that. That is not a personality, that's just a common thing. And Dominic's personality is that he works a lot. He's a workaholic. That's his personality. Which, it's so weird, and also it's different from the Ana Huang characters. I feel like her other characters have more personalities. The other characters in this series, the King of Sing series, they have more personality, and that's part because of the whole theme of this novel, which is the seven things, basically. So one, it's more like, has more anger issues. We have the prideful one that likes books, and he's all like he sounds a little bit arrogant. Each of them have different personalities, but the ones, Dominic and Alexander, they're so bland, but so bland. I think I would be bored if I met them in real life. Like, even the side characters that we know barely anything about, they have more personalities than them. So overall, I ended up giving this book 3 stars, and you might be, wow, but Carol, you seem like you didn't really enjoy this book, you didn't really like it was entertaining. Taking off the fact that, like, kind of stereotypical, kind of, and actually, if you think about it, the fact that she's such a stereotype, like, it makes sense because she's so bland, so kind of makes sense. Honestly, like, one thing I loved about this novel is that the Brazilian lady, she's not obsessed with carnaval, she's also not obsessed with soccer, because that's also a stereotype, so that already it gained a point in my score. Also, again, it just was entertaining. I just had fun. Like, you skip the woohoo scenes because these people get divorced, but they keep woohooing with each other so constantly. You are like, what? Why did you get divorced, babe? I can't really tell you on details about those things because honestly I actually didn't read them. I skipped them because smut for smut's sake, it's not my vibe, and I've already read a lot of rom-coms this year and I'm kind of burnt out of them temporarily. So yeah, this book's a 3 star. It's fine. It was entertaining. I don't think I'll ever think about it again. I don't think I will reread it, and that's honestly okay. Now, the next book I will be reading for this book, I'm not sure because most of the series I'm in the middle of are romance novels, and as I said, I'm kind of burnt out of them. I think I need a little breather from reading romance. Hello, it's been a long time. It's not exactly a long time, like months long, but it's been weeks since I last gave you an update on my journey to reading the sequels, and so far I read 2 more sequels. They are also sequels to connected, interconnected standalone romance novels. This one, they are the sequels to a book I read many years ago called Reluctantly Yours, I think it's the name, by Erin Hawkins, which turns out was the first book in a series called Reluctantly in Love, and I had completely forgot that it was a series. And then one day the book, the sequel, appeared on my homepage from the Kindle app, and it sounded interesting, and it was a day where I wasn't sleeping, I couldn't sleep, so I downloaded it and started reading. So I read Unexpectedly Mine by Erin Hawkins. It's the second book in the series, and basically this book follows Emma. She's a bridal gown designer, and she just broke up with her boyfriend, and then a few months later she discovers in her birthday that the guy proposed to his new girlfriend already. So she goes to say it's a review show. It's basically she goes to Magic Mike, so Magic Mike style of a show in Vegas. She gets drunk, she goes out with these dancers, and then she gets drunk married to one of the dancers, and they are already ready. They already agreed that they will annul this marriage, but then they find out that she posted a video on the internet and the video went viral, and now people want to interview and know more about her love story. So they go on this fake dating journey. So the trope for this book would be marriage of convenience and fake dating, and basically the guy he temporarily moves to New York with Emma just to pretend he's her loving husband and pose for pictures and do the interview so she doesn't ruin her career. One thing I need to say about this book is that I actually completely forgot about it, about this little aspect in the first book in the series, but it's so incredibly smutty. There's so much smut. Like, keep this book away from kids. If you have kids and you want this book, put it in the top shelf somewhere the kid can reach, because this book is filthy, and I think I said it in the last clip, but I am kind of burned out from smut because I read so many books with smut for smut's sake in a row. But in this book, to be honest, there's a lot of smut, but the smut in general, they make sense when they happen most times, because it explains why those two got married while they were very drunk. But also this book, it's funny. I laughed a lot during this book. I read quite fast. It was a fast read. Will it win the Pulitzer? No, this is not the type of book that would win the Pulitzer. Does it have the best writing in the world? No, it doesn't have the best writing in the world, but it is a good writing. It's average writing. And it's a book that does its job. It's very entertaining. I was between giving it 3 stars and 4 stars because this book for me felt very much in the middle of it, but in the end I ended up rating it 4 stars on Goodreads because I think this is also independently published and it doesn't have that many reviews. I think there's like 10,000 reviews on Goodreads. I could be mistaken. And especially with smaller books, and in general, I prefer to round my grades up, my rating up, than round it down. So on Goodreads, I gave it 4 stars. And then right after this book, in another sleepless night, I decided to start reading Accidentally Ours, which is the third book in this Reluctantly in Love series. And in this one, we follow the sister from the main guy in the other book. Did I mention his name? But the main guy in Unexpectedly Mine is called Griffin, and he has a little sister called Sophie. So, Accidentally Ours, we follow his sister Sophie. She just moved to New York to do this internship that she wants to do for a long time. And then on the first day of her internship, she ends up bumping into the man called Hunter, with whom she had a one-night stand while she was still living in Vegas. Things get a little bit awkward between them, and it gets even more awkward when they find out that Hunter is not only 13 years older than her, he is also her brother's friend and her brother's boss. So things are a little bit awkward, but then they say, oh, we nothing could happen with us ever again, right? Well, this is a romance novel. Things happen between them. But sparks continue to fly between them, so they decide to enter this friends with benefits arrangement, but it's quite fast. Quite clearly, they are going to become more than friends with benefits, and quite obviously, they become more than friends with benefits in a very short span of time. The bulk of this book, we are following them toying between and dancing around this idea of we are not in a relationship, but also they really like each other. So how do they communicate? How do they come with terms with themselves, like that they like each other and that maybe as they want to be in a relationship, also they are keeping their friend with benefits arrangement a secret from their friends and family. So we do get a scene where her brothers finds out and we have drama, and this book turns out it is even smuttier than the previous book. This book is very smutty, and honestly, if you ask me what happens in those scenes, I skipped most of them. I skipped most of them in the second book. I skipped most of them in this book, and I don't feel like I missed out on anything. Overall, my opinions about this book is the same as I had for the third book in the series. This isn't a book that will win a Pulitzer. This isn't a book that will change my life, but it was entertaining and it did its job, and it also fell right in the middle between a 3 stars and a 4 stars. So I ended up rounding up to a 4 stars, and that's pretty much it for this book. Now for what is the next book in this video. Basically, this whole video, did this video to finish, to continue reading sequels. There were quite a few books I had in my mind to read. I'm looking at them right now because my bookcase it's right across from me. Did I read them? No. Will I read these books in this video? No, because this book is so far has only contained very smutty, interconnected standalone romance novels. So I feel it's wrong for me to suddenly put on a YA thriller, to put on a Good Girl's Guide to Murder sequel in the middle of this book. I don't think it would be very cohesive. Actually, I'm not sure how cohesive this video is, because I've been filming it for quite a bit of time, and I'm not sure what is the footage I got. I'm not 100% sure. All the talking points, I'm not 100% sure how long this thing will be, because I feel like I keep rambling. So instead of doing a Good Girl's Guide to Murder sequel, which I really want to do, I feel like I will finish this book. I will finish this video trying to be cohesive and reading another very smutty romance novel, which is King of Sloth. This is the 4th book in the King of Things series. This is the sequel to King of Wrath, King of Pride, King of Greed, and I read already 2 of the books in the series in this video. This is a brand new release, It just came out as I'm filming this, so I guess we can just tie in this video by reading King of Love, and then I can finish it because this will already be 5 books, and I don't know how long of a video. Hi, so it's been actually, I think has only been 2 days since I last spoke to you. As you can tell, the weather is very different, but also I finished reading King of Sloth by Huang. King of Sloth follows Sloan and Javier. Sloan, she is the high-powered workaholic girly from the friend group that forms the group of the FMCs of the King of Things series. And Javier, he's her client, and he's kind of like a nightmarish client where he keeps getting into trouble. He's also the heir to the one of the biggest, I think it's actually the biggest fortune in Colombia, at least in this world. And his job is basically to be an heir. The book starts right at Sloan in one of her many journeys to stop Javier from getting into trouble, and then slowly after we find out that his father is actually very sick and he's basically on his deathbed. After Javier's father passes, they read the will and they find out that in order to receive his inheritance, Javier he needs to complete this quest of becoming a CEO, and Sloan decides to help him achieve that. But throughout this process of helping him become the CEO of a company, well, this is a romance novel, so I guess you can guess what will happen. In terms of tropes, I think the only ones it's coming to my mind is workplace romance and forced proximity. Maybe there are more, but I'm not remembering the name of the tropes or if they are tropes. But in general, those are the tropes, and personally, these books surprised me in a good way. So far, the King of Things novels, they have been very okay. I think I gave 4 stars to King of Wrath, and the other 2 I read in this video, so you know what I thought about them. But I thought so far that the King of Things series were kind of bleh. But in King of Sloth, I actually really enjoyed it. I surprisingly really enjoyed it. I like the characters. I think they are likable. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this book is that we have this character called Vuk. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's known as the Serb, and he's this mysterious character where he's full of scars and he doesn't really talk, and not because he can talk, it's just that he doesn't like talking for some reason. And he showed up in the other books. He made minor appearances, but in this book he has a bigger role, and it makes you more intrigued and more curious about him, about his backstory. And I think this book had a good build-up to the next book in this series, which is coming out only next year, which kind of sad because honestly I just wanted to read his story now because I'm curious. Why doesn't he talk? What's the problem? Why doesn't he like talking? I would love to know that. And in terms of rating, I ended up giving King of Love 4 stars, but this is very much a mid-tier 4 stars for me. It was entertaining. I actually liked the writing, and I guess this is it for this video. I'm not sure how this video will turn out because I don't remember what I filmed, so I'll figure that out while you are watching the final product. But that's it for this video, and I hope you liked it, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye!